space. Well, not really. Take two. Here, in the Mitten State. Welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
And we are back again. Welcome to the exciting Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Unite network. I am your humble servant, Trek Master of Western Michigan, Charlie Carden. And I'm coming to you with something a little different this week. Now, on last week's episode, we did have ERIN joining us from USS Nomad in Starfleet International. But my co-host, Alex, has kind of moved on to greener pastures. He's bowed out from doing the podcast, and I wish him well. So ERIN, along with this other gentleman I'm going to bring in, are going to be our rotating co-hosts for the program. So I would like to introduce you again to ERIN. ERIN, say hello again, please.
Hey, everybody.
And then I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman that I've worked with a couple of different times. He's been over on Secret Friends Unite with Todd and I twice, I believe, and I have been on his wonderful Star Wars podcast, Great Disturbances, once. Going to be on there actually again in the upcoming week or so. Everybody say hello to the new Trek dude in Minnesota, Mr. Rich Davenport. Rich, good afternoon.
How's it going?
It's going, man.
All right.
It's a beautiful sunny Sunday here in Michigan. So yeah, now we're a tri-state experience because ERIN, you're down there in Pennsylvania. I'm here in Michigan, and Rich is out in Minnesota. All places where it's generally pretty cold this time of the year sometimes, but we're starting to come into the light. So yeah, but you guys, thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to having you guys being a part of the show. And again, Rich and ERIN will continue to rotate. One of them will be on with me regularly generally every other week, but it'll vary a little bit. But for our special episodes where we talk about one of the Star Trek movies, or we're talking about a Star Trek comic, and then when we get some premieres and season premieres and series premieres later this year, which is the word, we will be on the three of us together. So at any rate, we are jumping into continuing our breakdown of the first seasons of the classic Star Trek series. We've been through season 1 of TNG, which was difficult. We've been through season 1 of season 1 of TNG. Yeah, we've been through season 1 of DS9, which was slightly less difficult. I don't know, ERIN and I were talking about that last half of DS9 season 1 last week, and there were some bright spots, I would say.
More than what we're going to cover today, I would say.
I think today might be a little rough, and what we are referring to is the January 1995 premiere of Star Trek Voyager. This takes the format, we're about 6 months after the end of Star Trek The Next Generation, which was a quote-unquote show-based Star Trek show. Deep Space Nine has now, at this point, been running for 3.5 seasons. They finally got their own ship in the form of the Defiant at the beginning of season 3. So they're getting out and about, but a lot of it is still stationary, for lack of a better term. But this puts us back on a starship kind of full tilt with a twist, which we'll get into. So guys, I much like with the other ones, I'm going to kind of onesie-twosie. I'm going to I'm going to have one of you guys read the recap. I'll jump in and do some commenting, and then we'll have a little back and forth, and we'll kind of move on. So the first episode of the series bowed on January 16, 1995. Rich, if you are looking, why don't you read that summary for us?
Summary for Caretaker. While searching for a missing Maquis ship with a Starfleet spy aboard, USS Voyager is swept away to the Delta Quadrant, more than 70,000 light years from home, by an incredibly powerful being known as the Caretaker.
So dramatic.
It sounds very dramatic. It sounds very ominous when you say it that way.
It does. Yeah. The Caretaker. I know that just in my conversation with ERIN in the last couple of days that we're not really winding up for a very fun, exciting, like, oh my God, I love all these episodes. They're so great. Of the 8 that we're going to talk about, I will doubtlessly say that I liked this premiere. I like the characters. I like that we're kind of setting it up for a different group. I mean, half of the cast are are rebel outlaws, the Maquis. So we've got Chakotay, who's the head guy. His engineer is B'Elanna Torres. She's half Klingon. You appear to have a Vulcan in the mix. He's a spy. We find out quite quickly that he works for our protagonist, which is Captain Janeway. But her first scene is she goes to a Federation penal colony to enlist the help of another criminal, which is a basically down on his luck, basically snotty rich kid, Tom Paris. You get the wet behind the ears, doesn't know shit about shit ensign, Harry Kim. And then we end up with a pair of weirdo aliens, Neelix and Kess. Once we actually get to the Delta Quadrant, it's probably, kind of like with DS9, it's a very eclectic mix of characters. You jump in, you have your, basically moral quandary. Well, hey, if we, to get ourselves home, we might, and again, it's a might. They never know that, like, we can definitely get home if we take this alien technology at the end, but they don't. They destroy it instead, and they strand themselves. So they kind of set the tone for the series. So, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought there were some key moments, but it's really downhill from here. I'm not going to lie to you. So, top off the key, Erin, your thoughts about this episode?
I want to know why the caretaker decided to put them in like a farm setting with like a picnic.
Great question.
Why do they think that that's where they want to be?
I mean, where else do you think they would want to be? Like, if you were to pick other options of like a holodeck-ish kind of spot, where would they want to be?
Like some sort of futuristic, like goth club. I don't know.
Right.
Anywhere.
Like the beginning of Blade. That would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah, it would have been futuristic, not like, hey, let's go hang out on this farm and hang out with animals and have a picnic. That's so weird to me.
I can't disagree. What else? What else? What's something else that you actually enjoyed? Anything? Are we scraping the bottom of the barrel there?
I wanted to say when I first saw it, I realized how young Tom Paris looks, and he looks almost just like he did when he was on TNG as that similar character.
Right, exactly. Which I know there's a lot of background information about. Yeah, we're going to bring this guy in, but we made him kind of the same. And the irony is that in the season, I'm going to say 6 episode of this series, when Voyager does make contact with home and they play it from the other end of it, so they have original Barclay working on the Pathfinder project, and the guy in charge of it is Owen Paris, who's Tom Paris's dad. When Barclay goes to visit him at his office and Paris is sitting at his desk, he has that photo of Nick Locarno on his desk.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not Paris. So a nice little nod and a wink, I think. So.
Also, the Janeway hair. It was one of my favorite bad hairstyles that she had.
Right. Oh, right from the top, the
Yep.
coils and the volume. It kind of looked like it was like a heart-shaped rock on top of her head, kind of. Rich, how about you?
I think probably the only thing that I liked about this premiere is that we get to meet some of my favorite characters. One of which is the doctor, the holographic doctor.
Right.
He comes
So
later,
good.
but he is definitely one of my favorite characters. And Harry Kim, poor beleaguered Harry Kim.
He does. He's the Geordi of the show, because on TNG, Geordi is always being kidnapped, tortured, used for something. So yeah, Harry Kim, like right from the beginning, he's getting stabbed, and they give him an alien virus or whatever. So it's really setting him up to just be for the nut kicking that he just gets for the rest of the series. So yeah, start it out right, do it the right way.
That's right.
Oh my gosh! Any final thoughts before we move on, guys?
Nope, I'm ready.
All right, cool.
I love the theme song, the theme music.
I do too.
Oh my God.
I was just talking to somebody about that last night. I do. I love it.
Yeah.
I tell you, and it's funny because the intros to these are so long, and the only thing I'm trying to convert entirely to watching them just on Paramount Plus, because I'm like, want to support the brand. But over on Netflix, you can do skip intro, and with this, you have to try to skim through it or watch it, and it's so long. Both this and DS9, DS9 is just, it's so slow, and look, we're moving through space, but boy, we're doing it slowly. So little small things. So, Erin, because this was episodes 1 and 2, let's move on to episode 3, Parallax.
Parallax. I'm going to try to do what Rich did. Voyager is trapped in a quantum singularity event horizon, and Captain Janeway must decide between Lieutenant Carey and former Maquis B'Elanna Torres to be the new chief engineer.
Quite a Sophie's choice. Oh my goodness.
I was not as good as Rich.
No, well, you know what? It's all about practice. It's not a contest.
I'll work on it.
You just be the best Erin that you can be, and I think you're doing okay. There's big thumbs up. Big thumbs up. But at any rate, this episode, it's still set. It's not even really character development for B'Elanna Torres, because she had a little bit to do in the premiere because she was stranded, with that weird alien disease in the Ocampa hospital in the first episode, and she and Harry Kim had to escape, blah, blah, blah. So you learn a little bit about her at this time, but this is the real, fully fleshed out, I'm pissed off and angry, but I'm super talented, but moreover than that, I'm super pissed off and angry. And so it's the beginning of her really connecting with Janeway. You see poor Lieutenant Carey, who makes 2 or 3 appearances in this first season, and then, I shit you not, nothing until season 7. He shows up in 1 episode so that he can be the red shirt. He gets killed off.
Yeah, I knew when I saw him in that episode for the first time, I'm like, yep, it's his time to die. He's going to die in this one.
What's this guy been doing for 6 years? He's scrubbing conduit. He works on the impulse engineering deck. I mean, the guy's just doing jack shit. So, Rich, your thoughts about the episode?
This one nearly put me to sleep, but but I do appreciate that they're taking the time to work with Janeway and Torres's relationship, because that's going to come into play later. So they're laying the groundwork, but boy, is it boring. Wow.
Yeah, wow. My God, Erin.
I actually fell asleep twice trying to watch it. So I'm with Rich, but I did really like the dynamic between Chakotay and Janeway, where he's upset with her and he kind of has to reason with her, and then you can see the moment where he and she kind of respect each other, and then they can move forward and work well together. I like how that was written. I did notice a couple of continuity issues that bothered me really bad.
Hit me with it. I'm the continuity. Does it have something to do with rank pips, or is that later on?
Okay, I am going to mention that one. But first, Seska is wearing a blue uniform at the engineering station.
No, I did notice they changed her out. I wonder. I wonder how those things change so arbitrarily, because, she bounces around. Later, she's the transporter chief, but she is wearing a gold uniform. So, I don't know. The replicator wasn't working right that day, but, that's annoying. But
the other one was Tuvok's Pips. He has the lieutenant commander.
Correct.
Pips, but he's only a lieutenant until later. So that but that's ongoing throughout this.
That doesn't get fixed until we're into the back half of the season, because April and I just watched those, because my wife is going to be in our next episode. She and I are going to break that down. I thought I would give her a swift introduction to the world of podcasting, because I know she doesn't listen to this show, but now she'll have to. And the same thing with Tom Paris. He's a full lieutenant until a couple episodes down the line that he goes down to lieutenant junior grade, so he gets a half a pip. So I don't know. You know what? It seems like it would be the simplest system in the world to have everybody's ranks consistent, because they're just little dots, doot, 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 and you don't change them. But I don't know. You take them, you go to the dry cleaner, you take the pips off. I guess it's just absolute pandemonium. So, moving on to episode 4. This is again not a winner, but it's
not at all.
Rich, you're up. This is yours.
Oh, this one's me. Okay. Investigating a planet just devastated by a polaric explosion, Janeway and Paris are engulfed in a subspace fracture and transported in time before the accident, or to before the accident. I screwed that up.
How could you?
You did great.
And unfortunately for you, we don't edit on this show, so it's stuck with you forever. Total. I mean, everything about the alien culture annoys me. They have weird clocks. They all wear the same weird outfit. They talk strange. They all have 90s hair where it's super poofy. They're like, blah, blah, blah. You came from Kalto province, and I work on my school paper and did like that little kid. Oh, I wanted to, if you ever really wanted to punch a child, it was for me early on. It was that. It's just what an obnoxious kid. So annoying planet. You get a little peek through of Kessa's kind of, because she later turns into Phoenix from the X-Men. her powers get like super dangerous in an episode of season 2. But you get your first peek of this. But overall, kind of a irrelevant episode, I think. But they were trying. But again, you look at a lot, and I think we ran into this maybe in TNG season 1, but I think we talked about it, Aaron, maybe talking about DS9 season 1. But all the episodes were written by different people, so there's no great through line for here's where we're going and we're trying to accomplish this thing and that thing. So, So, Aaron, I think you're up next.
They had very, very bad outfits in this episode.
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote a couple things down about Janeway dismissing the Prime Directive kind of for the first time, but you don't really blame her, or you never really blame her for it because she's stranded in the Delta Quadrant. But this was the first one where she really had to think about the Prime Directive and be like, yeah, I'm not going to go with it.
Nope. Hard no. How about you, Rich?
It strikes me as a little strange because later she's going to start preaching how they've got to respect the Prime Directive when it comes to another episode later on. So she's kind of off and on with that, isn't she? I mean,
oh yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, the great news is that this entire episode is erased. I mean, it's bookended by that sequence on the ship where Tom Paris is talking to Harry Kim saying, "Hey, forget about your girl, slut around. Let's all be slutty on the ship. It's only the 150 of us. That won't backfire if you sleep with whoever the hell you want." Yeah.
They mentioned the Delaney sisters for the first time on this one.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the Delaney sisters, I don't know that they ever get seen, but it's kind of hinted at because again, there was a website I followed years ago that was like background characters of Voyager, because there was only 152 people to start, and that number went up and went down every so often. But there's one
website. The Delaney sisters.
And an actual like you actually end up. I'm not sure that you do.
You do. They. I'm pretty sure. I think they take them on one of those. Bride of Chaotica type.
Oh, you're
on a date.
Oh, and they're actual twins. So that was they're biological twins. You got me there. I forgot about that one. Damn. Put in my place. No, don't be sorry. Be proud. You bested the very arrogant trivia king of Region 13. So good job. I'm impressed. Savor it. You will savor it. So we got sidetracked there. Did everybody speak? Are we moving on?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
Cool. Episode 5 is Phage, and Rich, it's your turn, I think.
My turn? It's Aaron. It's Aaron.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My bad.
An organ harvesting species known as the Vidians steal Neelix's lungs, leaving him to die.
Oh, shucks.
I know, right?
You're like, you can't see it, but I'm shrugging my shoulders so hard I might throw something out. Again, if your crewman in peril is Neelix, who gives a shit? But the Vidians is a race, and their medical I dig them. But the issue with not only this species of aliens, but really anyone that they run into, is that they're traveling in such a way that they'll ostensibly leave the area where any alien really is. So it's hard to have something that's necessarily ongoing. But the Vidians are great. They have absolutely no morality. They have a single focus of, hey, we got to stay alive, but this is eating us alive, and so we're going to do anything that we can to keep our civilization alive. So somebody happens by, and I need his liver. Cool. I need his face. I need his ears. I need his whatever. I'm just going to take it, and they're going to die, but it's cool because we're not morally ambiguous. We're just not moral at all. We just don't care. And I found that to be totally like, wow, there's an alien species that has zero moral center. I thought that was really very different. I kind of dug it, but again, give me a crew member that I give a shit about if they're going to die, and it's not Neelix.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, Neelix is quite annoying.
Exactly. He is the cannon fodder upon cannon fodder. So, guys, other thoughts about this one?
Did anybody else get reminded of Spock's brain?
Yeah. Yeah.
Neelix's lungs. Yeah. I was going to say Spock's Brain's still a better episode, even though it is literally the worst episode of TOS, in my opinion. Other thoughts? Not so much?
Is this... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask. I couldn't remember for sure, but is this the episode where Kes starts talking to the doctor and starts to kind of form a bond with him.
Yeah.
And she volunteers to become the nurse because Tom Paris was up until then, and he sucks at it. So this is. Well, it gave her a job where, she had a critical job where Neelix was the cook, which was always kind of dubious, and then he was the morale officer, which sounds like bullshit. That sounds like some, it's even worse than Counselor Troy's like, tell me how that makes you feel. Kind of the same thing.
I do have another thought. I just thought of it.
Yes,
when
please.
you said that. Why does the captain have a private dining room?
Because it's a small ship. I don't know.
Especially on a ship that small, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's a good point. Yeah, because
it's a waste of space.
And it was literally described. It was described in the Doctor in one episode that Voyager itself had 256 rooms, which sounds like a super small number when you think about how big the Enterprise D was, and there was 1,000 people on board. With this, there's 150. So yeah, you're absolutely right. She could have walked in and said, "Oh, this cabin is designated as the Captain's storage locker B, or this is the maintenance room or something." Yeah, you're right. So a private dining room sounds kind of weird. So you're right. Good catch. And I wouldn't necessarily thought about it that way. So not bad. All right, episode 6. We are almost done here. My God, we flew through making fun of these pretty quickly. And we're going to do it again. Episode 6 is called The Cloud. So I think, Rich, this is you. I think
so. Yeah. Okay. The crew enter a nebula to collect samples before realizing it's a living organism, but not before injuring it.
Who gives a shit? Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it was funny because Rich, Todd, who I do SFU with. We met, this was early 95. We met in the fall of 95 because we both went to Michigan State. He lived in a different dorm his freshman, or maybe a sophomore year was his junior year when we met because he moved to the dorm where I lived. And his best buddy and myself both worked at the hall. I worked at the desk, and then his best buddy was our resident assistant on the floor. And so Todd was his suite mate, and that's how that's how I met him, and so that's how Todd and I became best buddies. He loved to make fun of Voyager because he said the worst enemy of Voyager ever was always a space anomaly. And this first half of the season definitely illustrates that. They're always running into some weird bullshit that it's like, oh, there's your cloud, and we're going to do and collecting. Why are they collecting samples? Is it for something useful? Were they trying to find more dilithium or more something, more deuterium to power the ship? Or I don't even remember why they would bother to go in there. And then they made a whole episode out of it. So it's like that's my analysis. A raspberry. This is a raspberry.
You'll love mine. It says boo, and I've got nothing.
Oh, okay, great. We're gonna make this real easy. Rich, take us home.
I got nothing. This one was just completely absurd. But the thing that kills me about these first handful of episodes is they try to go as weird as possible because it's the Delta Quadrant. Maybe, I don't know. But as weird as you can possibly get, and this is what we end up with. We end up with things like a living cloud. And
oh my gosh, it's so bad.
I know.
Let's move on, because this next one is really good.
Yes.
Exactly correct. So yeah, Aaron, go ahead. This one's you.
All right, I have the needle. A micro wormhole is discovered that leads to the Alpha Quadrant, and the crew make contact with a Romulan ship on the other side.
I love it. Great
Me
twist.
too.
Yeah, great twist. Kind of gives our crew a first glimpse of hope. It only took 7 episodes of almost complete irrelevancy for them to get there. Like, let's do this irrelevant thing. Let's move on and do this other irrelevant thing. Now they have their first there's a way that wormholes can have some tie to the past. Unfortunately, in what turns out to be a never-ending streak of bad luck for our crew, it turns out that this guy is 20 years in the past. It's not only it's a rip in the space-time continuum is what this wormhole is. So this guy, he's a Romulan scientist. He's on a mission, and he happens to pass by. But they're able to beam him onto the ship, which is totally insane. Yeah. And they're able to meet him, and then they beam him back, and then Tuvok has the big, slide whistle at the end says, I didn't want to mention this while the guy was here, but not only is he from 20 years in the past, but he also died 4 years ago. So we gave him a bunch of messages. But what's funny about that is that there was I was reading an article some years back about, scrapped B stories from DS9, and there was a scrapped B story where somebody was trying to sell Quark some junk, and one of the items of junk was the data card that had those messages on them. And they looked at that. The people said, yeah, that's not bad, but if people haven't seen the Voyager episode, it won't really mean anything, so they scrapped it. But I think it would have been cool.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that because I even wrote down, we know that Starfleet never got the crew's letters after seeing the whole series.
Right, exactly. And you got to remember that 20 years prior, that Starfleet and the Romulans had not had any kind of communication in about 70 years prior, because there was what was described as the Tomed incident in the early 24th century. And then there was this huge long Cold War where they never spoke to each other. And it wasn't until the end of the first season of TNG that we meet our first Romulan, who was, of course, the same actor who played Gul Dukat, Mark Alimo. Haha, little trivia for you. But yeah, great episode. Absolutely adored it. What are your guys' thoughts, please?
I don't really have many. I think he's the most likable Romulan character I ever met, but I just enjoyed it. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I don't have much to say about it. We did talk about it earlier in our group chat when we're like, oh, we're going to do the first half of the season, and this is the episode we all said we loved.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. Absolutely correct. All right. And speaking of going out with a whimper, not a bang, episode 8 is Ex Post Facto. Rich, this one is yours.
Oh, before we jump into that, can I just say a couple things about Eye of the Needle
my bad.
here?
Yeah,
that's okay.
Please.
Sorry.
I know you're so excited about the episode. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Okay, well, there's a couple of big things that happen that I absolutely love. The first one is, of course, the Doctor kind of comes into his own a little bit. And, and we start to see this idea that even though he's just a hologram, he's a being, right? He has, it's kind of that Data thing, right? Where you can kind of make the argument that because he, has feelings, he, could be considered.
Data doesn't have feelings though, but the Doctor definitely does.
Right. Sorry, yeah, I should make that delineation, but there's always that argument on TNG as to whether or not Data is a person, right? This is the same type of thing with Voyager, but it's so astonishing that they're doing this with an AI, with a holographic AI.
Right.
Is just really astonishing to me. I love that. I love those developments that they're going to get with that. The other thing that I love is that they deal very, very well with what it's like to be that far away. Now, I watched Discovery, and they get shunted into the future. Spoiler alert. And
it's okay. I think we know.
All right. Just for anybody that might be listening. But I feel like they've dealt with it in a different way than what this disjointed nature of their life now. These guys are so far away, they may never get home, they may never see people that they love again. The same thing happens with Discovery, but I feel like this episode handled it really, really in a really, really classy way. You could see the pain on their faces when they realized that they're not going to get their letters read. That right. you know what I mean? Like it just gave the whole crew an air of humanity that was kind of missing in the last few episodes.
Right.
Yeah, it sure did.
I hear. Yeah, you're right. It was a desert, and with this, you finally reached an oasis of something that is, quality storytelling, not only for Star Trek in general, but just for, something that could really help you as a viewer empathize with what this would really feel like if you're like, this is our whole life, like Battlestar Galactica, which I started watching with a friend recently who'd never seen it before. It was like, there is, we hope there's something beyond what we have here, but for now we're stuck here. We're trying to survive. And it's just tough and miserable, and we get a respite. We think things are going to work out, and then that gets yanked away from us again. So guess what, Voyager crew? Get used to it, because it keeps happening. And it just gets worse and worse. So, all right. So let's swing to the grinding halt of this eight pack with episode 8.
All right, so it's called Ex Post Facto. Tom Paris is convicted of murder on an alien world, and his punishment is to witness the murder from the victim's perspective every 14 hours.
I'll give you the pleasure. I'm stealing all the slam dunks here. I don't want to do it again. Go ahead.
This is the goofiest thing. Okay. How did they implant these memories? First of all, he's a human. How did it even work?
They get away with not showing you any kind of mechanical device that does it.
Yeah.
Right. They just say it happened.
Right.
It happened. Deal with it.
You deal with it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So something redeemable from this, I guess, is that you get to see Tuvok kind of do his thing. He's a crack investigator, kind of the same way that Odo is. Odo always kind of gets his man. He always kind of gets to the bottom of it. And Tuvok is so unflappable that he's a great, Batman-like kind of character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's always going to get to the bottom of it without emotion. So, yeah, he kind of hacked away at it. The romance aspect with Tom Paris and whatever the hell the woman's name was like, and then he was like, it just seemed very faux, I guess is the best way to put it together. But it was a quasi interesting punishment, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like that's the punishment, but the people don't get locked up. So couldn't they just go commit some other crime somewhere? I mean, how is it really like, oh, your punishment for life is you're going to see how the person you killed died? Well, if the person is a hardened psychopath anyway, is that really punishment? They probably don't care. They're just going to go out, well, I guess I'll just go murder some more people then. It just doesn't really seem to work as a deterrent for people to continue to go commit crimes, I guess. I don't know. But it's weird.
Why did they give this episode to LeVar Burton to direct? I mean, they could have given him any other ones. This one's so bad.
The worst answer to that is what if this was one of the better ones they had? That's what's kind of scary.
The one right before it was way better.
I know, and who directed that? Probably nobody. Winrich Colby, who was a regular part of their stable of directors. So, and a talented guy. He did some good stuff. So yeah, I agree with you, LeVar. Yeah, if you're gonna give somebody, a high profile director who's, former cast member an episode, don't give him a stinker. I totally agree.
Or maybe they gave it to him because this episode reminded me a lot of The Next Generation Matter of Perspective.
Yes. Right. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, this is what I saw. Or, poor Geordi and not the frame of mind. The one where, the Romulans grabbed him and they were controlling his visor to
Oh,
do
yeah.
something. I drawing a blank. I always remember episode names. Mind's Eye.
That's right.
End of season 4. So that takes us to the end of the first half.
Wait.
Oh,
one
wait.
more.
Yes,
One
please.
more. They had a dog in it, a Chihuahua, and it looks like they literally teased its hair. I just want to point that out, and that's all I've got.
Suppose they could have just strapped a horn on it, for crying out loud.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's one too many times to the well. They don't want to. Maybe they wanted to save that old chestnut for somewhere down the road. So, all right.
Why did these alien world dwellers? I forget their name, but why did they call it a dog?
Universal Translator.
Oh, I suppose Universal Translator. Yeah.
That's really the answer to anything. What about Universal Translator? Oh my God. All right. So that wraps up the 8-pack. And I guess we haven't done this before, but we're also down of it. Scale of 1 to 10 for the half season. Aaron.
2.
Oh God. Ouch. Rich.
I'm going to give it a 2, probably 2.5, just because of that episode 7.
I liked the finale, or I liked the premiere, and I liked episode 7. So maybe I'll try to go with a 4. That's probably real generous, but again,
That's super generous.
Yeah.
I gave it 2 points per episode that I liked.
Okay. Well, then I would have to also, okay. So 2 points per episode I like. So the premiere, okay. Good enough. You guys hated it more than me. That's all that matters. Moving on, 2 news stories this week. We got some good stuff going on. One of them is actually this documentary about Voyager that's kind of been making the rounds. Crowdfunding goals have now been announced to extend the original goal of just getting it made in the first place. And this would make our very own Todd Oxford very proud that they're going to move some of the footage into high definition, which is great because it's well known that there was enough interest back in the days of Blu-ray sales to spend the millions of dollars to pump HD remastering into the original series, to put it into the Next Generation. And then Star Trek Enterprise had been shot pretty much in HD or pretty close to what accounted for it, so that it looked pretty sharp. But DS9 and Voyager look awful because they're standard definition. They didn't ever really feel, it really came to a point where now disc sales are relevant because everything is streaming or whatever it is. They just don't feel like there's a monetary gain to spend that money. And particularly with DS9, what I've always read is that because later seasons of the show were so heavy with the practical effects, because things had really gone to CGI with all of the ship battles in the Dominion War, that to try to rebuild that would just send the cost through the stratosphere, and they just didn't ever think that they could do it. But the DS9 documentary that came out a couple of years ago, or maybe it was just last year, I don't know, time is kind of a quagmire, after 2020, did nicely restore a lot of those great ship battles in HD. So there is a way to do it. But anyway, looking at this article, they said, the goals were broken, and it said here that another stretch goal is finally announced intention to include footage from Voyager remastered into HD, and they show some samples, and it's saying here that if they reach 825, that would be enough to do some, and if they hit, I think, 900 or 1 million, they should be able to do all of the footage that they want to do. So exactly. Stretch goal is exclusive, never be seen Voyager surprise. That's the stretch goal of $1 million. But once they hit their 900, they should be able to remaster all shown footage scenes. So that sounds pretty spectacular. Because I don't know about you guys, but those early seasons of DS9, so grainy, so tough to watch. And this first season of Voyager, the footage seems brighter, and I don't know, it's because so much of DS9 is dark and foreboding because they're on the Cardassian station and nobody pays the light bill. And whereas Starfleet likes to really, pump in the fluorescent lights, things look brighter in the first place, but still really choppy. So, I'm really excited to see this doc, without a doubt, but I'm even more excited, to see HD footage, and just would want to think that it leads to better things, but I don't know that they could ever crowdfund enough money to redo the whole 176
it's
episodes.
not possible. I actually read on the Delta Flyers, that podcast, their Facebook page yesterday, broken down as to why it can't happen. And chiming in were the partner of, what's the guy who played Harry Kim's name? I'm blanking on it right now.
Garrett Wang.
Yeah, Garrett Wang. He's talking about it, and it's actually, his name's Garrett Wang.
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway,
spelled Wang, pronounced Wong. Correct.
They kind of break down why it will never happen. They can't redo it in HD. They can take clips because it's not that expensive.
Right.
But they're not going to be able to do the whole thing.
Right. Right. And even Voyager, because it wrapped up in 2001, so they were getting to the point that I believe in the last couple of seasons, a lot of newer shots of the ship that they did were CGI models. But boy, when they started, and when DS9 wrapped up in 1999, for example, there was no way to really pull any of that off. So this is exciting, and I would imagine if this is being produced, we'll probably see this, I don't know, 12 months from now. But I like this, and it fills me with some hope. Some is kind of better than none, right? To get things cleaned up. So any additional thoughts?
No, I'm ready to move on to the kitty.
The kitty. I assume it sounds like everybody is caught up on Discovery. I know, Rich, you said that you were talking about season 3, but yes, yep. Moving on to merchandising. I've been enjoying the releases on audiobook, really, myself, of more recent, like the Picard novels and stuff like this. But season 3 of Discovery gave us Grudge the Cat, and they were actually talking about this on TrekMovie.com podcast, which is the source here, and which is the one I kind of referred you guys to. But this was the companion of Book, who became the love interest of our own Michael Burnham. But this is going to be, and this is funny, Rich, it makes me think about it, and I know you gave me a shout out on your show last week over there about, because I've been reading The Empire Strikes Back 40th anniversary from a certain point of view, which Aaron, if you're not familiar with it, both with The Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope, there was an anthology released with the 40th anniversary year of each one of those, where they had like 30 or 40 little vignette stories just told from a minor character you never saw, or some weird little detail that you couldn't possibly imagine, and in these little chapter book stories. And I've been doing the Empire Strikes Back one, and there was one about how the admiral who Vader chokes at the beginning, what he's thinking about as he's dying. And that's a whole story. And the other great one, and that's what kind of syncs up with this, is that there's a whole story told around the Tauntauns that Han and Luke ride in the beginning of the movie are mother and daughter. And it tells their story from their perspective. And like, I keeled over and died and this thing and that thing, or what happened to my daughter. So this sounds like this is kind of like that. It's going to be Grudge,
but it's a cat. But it's a cute cat too. It's right? The best thing ever.
Exactly. So this is going to be a blast. So I look forward to this. And again, and this comes out in May. So this could be something that, let's say, for example, we all read or listen to it. We should totally break this down in an episode because I think this would be a lot of fun.
Normally I'd say no, but absolutely.
Okay, very good. Then it's a date. I'm gonna plug that into our calendar. So, nice. Do you guys, either one of you guys, real big on the books in general? I've always read the books. That's been a lock for me since I was a teenager. I won't say I've read every one, but definitely I go through periods where I'll really drill down. But I've transitioned more into audiobooks because because
you can listen to them while you're driving.
Exactly correct.
Yeah.
I can't even hash out an hour a night to read comics, and that's how I get so far behind. And I do a show where I have to talk about comics. So yeah, if I had to do a show where I had to talk about books, that'd be different. But yeah. So but anyway, what's a Star Trek book that you guys have read or listened to the last couple of years that really fires you up? Anything?
I read the Picard book.
Yes, I love that one. The one that, because there's been two now. There was a Riker and Troy one that I just finished. That was about their time on the Titan when their son was their deceased son by the time we see them is young. And then there's going to be another one starring Rios that comes out this fall. So I love those. So Rich, how about you?
The last Trek book I read was the autobiography of James T. Kirk, which I love. I love the concept, and I think they're doing one for Picard.
They did
one for Picard.
They did one for Janeway. Oxford sent it to me as a Christmas gift, as a gag in particular, because he hates Voyager. But again, he sent me a book, and I'm like, oh, when am I going to read this? So it's on the shelf. It'll get read someday. Nice. Not that I didn't think it was a good gift. So
I call them analog books.
Books because they're just books. So
yep.
Well, oh my goodness, that is the end of the show. And the outro. I usually have, I'll let you guys flip a coin, or you can split it together.
Rich,
Go ahead.
why don't you do it?
You want me to do the outro?
The outro.
Yeah, do the outro.
Oh, okay. For more information about Starfleet International in Michigan and beyond, please visit Grand Petoskey and/or Nomad on Facebook. The Code 47 podcast is a part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network and produced by Todd Oxtra.
So dramatic.
Thank you.
It's like Shakespearean. Oh my gosh.
That's why I asked him to do it. I knew he'd be good.
He really did nail it. So, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. Very excited to welcome ERIN and Rich as permanent fixtures of the show. ERIN, of course, is an officer on the USS Nomad chapter of the Star Trek International Fan Club. Rich is my chief engineer over on our ship, the Grand Petoskey, here in Michigan. So this is we're all members of the Starfleet International Fan Club, but this will continue, of course, to be a show about Star Trek. You can find us over on Twitter at Secret Friends U. Send us a Twitter over there. Let us know something you're enjoying, if it's about Star Trek or video games or geek culture in general, Star Wars, all the things that we cover. We will talk about that on one of our programs. We've got a great store over on TeePublic. You can search us out as Secret Friends Unite, find the logos to our shows, T-shirts, hoodies, pens, pencils, weird stuff, all kinds of what have you. It does actually go to benefit a charity very near and dear to my heart here in the state of Michigan called the League of Enchantment, which does outreach for kids' hospital visits, care packages, things of that nature. As I had mentioned, we are a podcasting network. You are listening to Code 47, which is obviously all about Star Trek. Our Holocron Chronicles show, which is myself and Mark Carabin, the Canardian, talks about Star Wars bi-weekly. Rich is actually going to be our guest on our next episode, which is kind of exciting. We're somewhat incestuous here, but not in a bad way. Todd Oxtra, who is my best friend and partner, that we kicked it all off. We do the Secret Friends Unite podcast every Friday, which is your general ed in geek culture. And then Todd and the Canardian do the co-op mode video game podcast, also bi-weekly. Those are all available anywhere podcasts are found. We're also really close to starting our own website for Secret Friends, which will have original content and host our podcasts as well. Leave us a 5-star review on the podcasting service of your choice and get a prize from our fabulous digital prize closet. Again, thank you for joining us. That's the end. I'm going to tell you, as always, that sharing is caring, and to keep on trekking.